I think that the CLA revolution in jiu-jitsu has been absolutely a net positive, but I think that the eco bros have fucking lost their minds, and I don't think that the evidence says quite what they think it does. Why should you listen to me on that? Well, I am an electromagnetics aerospace engineer who also runs a decently successful competition MMA and jiu-jitsu team. So I also used to teach in the Marine Corps all the SIGINT deploying tactical teams how to do their jobs. I literally wrote a curriculum, taught the instructors, and was in charge of the whole program. So I've been teaching and learning how to teach and how best to learn for the better part of literally 20 years. I've also been in martial arts since 1997, from the most traditional to the least. So I've seen the whole range of how we learn, how we teach, and I've also read all of the literature, right? And the CLA guys are correct that most of the literature does actually point to a positive benefit greater than traditional drilling from small-sided games, adding constraints, stuff like that. And I think that just from my personal experience of teaching and coaching and learning a lot of different things over my life, the small-sided games and the more realistic the learning is, the more and easier it is to retain, right? And so I absolutely 100% believe that. The problem is the CLA and eco kind of jiu-jitsu sphere can't actually read the science. And I can. I absolutely can. I also have my own Substack where I generally just break down scientific flaws in the research community. So I am arguably uniquely qualified to talk about this. So Rob Gray has done some amazing work, and he's actually got a list. He's kind of the godfather of a lot of this modern CLA stuff. He's actually got a list of all of the studies concerning eco versus traditional drilling on his website. And I've gone through that list. I have. Most of you eco guys haven't. Most of you drill guys haven't. I have. Now, what you find is that there is a general positive trend for using the constraints-led approach versus traditional drilling, right? The problem is, when you actually read the studies, you realize that these are pretty bad controls. These are low, they're not very long studies. And even so, the evidence, it's not like the evidence is screaming at you that it's so much better. One, the studies are kind of limited, right? You can't do them for multiple years. Like it's hard to do real world studies, 100%. I'm literally writing studies and tests and papers at work right now on the research that I've been doing. So like, I understand how hard it is, but what you can't do is look at those papers and definitively say, hey, eco and CLA is the only way to do this. I promise you, if you have a significant understanding of the scientific process and how to actually read scientific papers, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The sample sizes are tiny. Some of these studies are like 6 dudes, if I remember right. They're short time frames, and the difference, which a lot of times is kind of subjective, they try to add these objective measures, but a lot of times they just fail. And so if you're basing your entire jiu-jitsu ideology off of these papers, I promise you, you're making a mistake. Now, having said that, we started doing these types of things before the eco CLA thing kind of came around. And I'll kind of tell you very briefly how we got there. We used to drill a lot. We would drill all the shit, and then at the end of the class, we would do some rounds, and I would be watching, looking at the rounds, and nobody would be even attempting what we had just drilled. Sound familiar? Sounds like every fucking jiu-jitsu class before 2022, right? And so what I was looking at, it was the same problem that I was having in the Marines that when I was teaching. And what I realized back then was they are not engaged in this class. It's the same thing that happened when I was growing up in school. I didn't want to sit there and listen to these freaking lectures anymore, right? And so what we started doing in our classes is we were like, okay, we're going to drill for a little bit, and then we're going to go into that drill and we're going to go live from that exact position and see what happens. And we actually started making a lot more progress. And then what we started doing is we were like, okay, as Nick Lowry and I started analyzing jiu-jitsu more, what we realized is that there were really 4 or 5 key positions and concepts that everybody was using to win at the highest level, and they weren't doing any of the other nonsense that you usually learn in these classes. And so what we started doing is we called it the 2-minute drills. At the beginning of class, every single day you were going to hit all of what we determined to be the most important parts of the game. You were going to hit the back, you were going to hit the legs, you were going to pin, you were going to do hand fighting into wrestling, and then you were going to do some sort of guard game. Every single day. And we would do that 2-minute drills, 2 minutes each player at the beginning of class. That was our warm-up. And then we would go into our class, do our drills, and then, do the game that we were talking about. And what we started realizing was the 2-minute drills were the most productive parts of the day, and people were making the most progress from them. So we just kind of started going more and more just live. And then the eco revolution happened, and it really just validated what we were already doing. And then it also gave us some more ideas to how to incorporate it. And, so it's definitely been an amazing tool for our team, but it's not what I have personally found after coaching dozens of MMA guys. We've had hundreds of jiu-jitsu players come through from all levels, world class down to brand new beginners. And what we have actually started to realize is that for the vast majority of people and situations and skill levels, the games are vastly superior to actually learn and retain the information. But I also think that we have it backwards in traditional martial arts classes, specifically in jiu-jitsu. I think that the more that you understand jiu-jitsu, the more beneficial drilling is for you. The less you understand jiu-jitsu, the less beneficial drilling is. What do I mean by that? If I take a brand new guy who's never done any grappling in his life, and I put him there, and I tell him, to drill a back take 40 times. One, as soon as you explain it and you tell him to go over there, what's the first thing he's going to say? Him and his partner are going to look at each other and go, do you remember what the drill is? That's because they have no idea, that they don't understand the context of what we're trying to teach them. Now, if I take that same guy and I just start him on the back and I say, hey, hold on to this guy, don't let your chest leave his back, and keep your hooks in, he's going to learn a whole lot more. And this isn't theoretical. I don't have a paper on this. I just know from watching my room that it works so much better for these new guys. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, if I take our more advanced guys, like Anakin and Byron and Donald and these guys, and I do and I have a specific problem for them that I think that they need to incorporate a solution into their game, and I throw them into a drill, and we have a specific drill for that, they will immediately understand what the drill is, how to move in that drill, and they will problem solve it live in there. And so they have the whole context and mental map of jiu-jitsu already in their head, so the drill makes sense for them, and they can immediately insert it into their game. So, to summarize, I think that we literally have it backwards. I think that the beginners should be doing almost exclusively constraints-led approach games, and the more advanced you get, the more you can reintroduce drills and have them be beneficial to your training and your progress. But for the beginners, the drills don't really seem to be making much of a difference. They They don't apply what we're trying to teach them. They don't learn the skills that are supposed to build your game around those techniques. And it just doesn't make a ton of sense for us to be drilling the hell out of these beginners when they don't even have a framework of where to put that into the game. And so, in conclusion, man, I think that you should just be fucking coaching. We have all these tools at our disposal, and whatever works in your room is what it should be. You will never hear me say the ecological approach or the constraints-led approach in my room. We also don't drill as much as most normal schools, but when I have a specific problem that maybe I'm just not creative enough, but if I have a specific problem that I know a solution for, I'm going to give it to the guy. And our guys are making progress faster than just about anybody else that I know. And so whatever we're doing is working. We're not stuck on one fucking ideology. We're just teaching our guys. So stop getting wrapped around the axle. The science isn't as definitive as you think one way or the other. I promise you that. And whatever works in your room works in your room. If your guys are making progress drilling, then you're better at creating drills than I am. If your guys are making more progress than ours and you're only doing CLA, you're more inventive with the games than we are. That's great. You do you. Just come fucking see us on the mats. If you beat us, you beat us. If you make more progress, congrats. If your guys are having fun in practice, great. If not, the reason everybody quits at blue belt isn't because they don't like jiu-jitsu. It's because they're so bored drilling your dumb fucking drills for an hour a day on repeat because you have a curriculum that you redo every couple of months to a quarter. They've already done all of these drills 8 times by the time that they've gotten their blue belt. They don't want to do it for another 8 years, dude. They're not quitting jiu-jitsu. They're quitting you. Make it entertaining. Make it fun. If they're not making progress, it's on you. Hot take of the day.